Hey everyone, Coach Joe here. Today I've got a few exercises for you that can help with wrist pain, carpal tunnel, things like that. Just a few exercises to loosen your wrists, stretch your wrists, and relieve some pressure and some tension in the wrist joint. So the first thing we need to do is we'll work on some range of motion. So you're going to have your hands out in front of you and come in and out. You get the range of motion in this direction. And you can flip your hands over and do the same thing. Get that at a little bit of a different angle. Now up and down. And again, flip your hands over, up, and down. And really don't overdo and try to force your wrists. I mean, if you can only get to here and be like that, then that's where you need to start. You can get to your range of motion, but don't overextend and try to force your wrist into a certain range of motion that you think that you should have, especially if you are dealing with wrist pain right now, because that's just going to aggravate it and make it worse. So just as far as you can, as much as you can. And then another way to get some range of motion, clasp your hands together and make rotations here. And get that rotation in, and you go the other direction. And rotate your wrists. And then gently rotate your wrists. And then you can rotate your wrists this way, just separately. And that helps loosen up the wrists and work through that range of motion. And another thing is stretching. So take your arm out in front of you, palm up, and take your fingers and gently, again gently, pull your fingers towards you. And then flip your palm over, and again, gently pull your fingers towards you. And again, this is not something that you want to force your wrist into because that's where you think you should be. Just what is comfortable, and then on the other side again, what is comfortable. For working through, if you're working through wrist pain right now, keep it gentle and don't try to force through a stretch or a range of motion because you think you should. Because that's, again, just going to aggravate it and make it worse. So gentle for what's comfortable. Now, this exercise, this stretch, can also be done on a table or bench. So you can have your table or your bench and do the same thing, maybe both. And again, keep it gentle. If you need less pressure, you can come up and make the table or the bench lower, and then on the other side. And stretches can be held for 10 to 30 seconds. You can also, something that you can do is hold and release. Hold and release. And if you hold the stretch for too long, it can cause strain on the joint. So make sure that you're not holding it too long, but you also need to hold it long enough to actually make a difference and do what you're trying to do, stretch that muscle out, stretch those tendons out, things like that. So 10 to 30 seconds. And maybe work in some hold and release. The next thing you can do is grip strength. So you can have like a stress ball or something squishy, depending on what your grip strength is. You get something with an appropriate resistance, and take the stress ball in your hand, squeeze and release, squeeze and release. You do that several times on both sides. Squeeze and release, squeeze and release. And you can also do that extension and flexion, that up and down, when you have something in your hand too. And if it's something like carpal tunnel, the nerve comes from your neck down to your wrist, because the problem is right in here in your wrist with the carpal tunnel. So, but the nerve comes up to your neck. So the problem may be starting in your neck. So it's also helpful to work through some neck stretches and stretch out your neck and make sure your neck is nice and loose. So again, you start with range of motion and get some neck rolls in there. One direction, just a few times. And again, nice and gentle, especially when you're working with your neck. You want to be nice and gentle. And the other direction for a few times. And lean your neck to one side and look up and out to get that different angle here. And look down and out to get another different angle. The back, side, back of your neck area. And then the other side again, keeping it gentle. And look up and out, down and out, and then look down, back, and you can also hold on to your clavicle here and add just a little bit of pressure. Look to the side, and then do the other side. And that'll help loosen up and stretch your neck too, because sometimes a problem in one area, like say the wrist, can actually result from a different part further up in the kinetic chain, such as your elbow, or your shoulder, or your neck. So I want to get in all of those points to make sure that we get that kinetic chain, because it might not just be at the wrist. So, and another thing you might want to do is to open up the chest. So if you have a chair, or you can lean back with the edge of a chair, but you can also do it without a chair, and just lean and open up that chest. Come back. Open up that chest. And come back. And that will open up that chest and shoulders and loosen up that area. That might also be causing problems. And so here I want to show you a different angle or a different way to do a couple of these stretches. So the chest opener, you come up against the wall, plant your elbows on the wall, and then push out, and that will open up your chest. Back, push out, and just do that a few times, and that's a good chest opener. And you can also do the palm stretch on the wall by putting a palm on the wall like you did on the bench or table, and then look over and do that stretch against the wall as well. So that's just Another option, another way to do a couple of these stretches, maybe you can try all the different ways to get these stretches to find what works best for you. Some might find too much pressure, some might not find enough. So find what works for you, what feels comfortable for you, that gets you stretched without causing more problems. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe and ring that bell icon so you don't miss the next video. And remember, train hard, stay inspired, and I'll see you next time.